And if you need to, switch to a smaller pressure flaker. So now I'm finding all the spots that are low, even the little ones, and I'm bringing them up to the surface with small flakes. But at the same time, I'm trying to get those flakes to run as far as I can safely. And this is doing two things: it's bringing my edge to center, and it's also giving the stone more convexity on both sides where it needs it. I'm being very, very careful not to create a step. If a spot is too flat and you take a flake, and the flake runs too long or too deep into the stone, you're going to create a step fracture, and that's going to really hurt you. It's time for the base now. So for shorter pieces, I drive the tip into my palm and I support the edge that I'm working, and I clamp it between my thumb and my hand, and that usually does pretty well. So at this point I would pressure flake, but really you don't have to. But I'll pressure flake for you guys. I'll show you guys how I do it. So I need to make a platform. Let's grind the stone both directions. And you can shape the stone doing this and make it more even. Grind it, especially if you're working with obsidian. This stuff likes a stronger edge most of the time. Alright, so I use my small tipped pressure flaker for this, and wherever I see a high spot, take a flake. Really hope I'm getting all of this on the camera here. If I'm not, I apologize. I can really put a lot of pressure on the edge working on my leg like this, and that's why I do it. It's kind of how I learned how to do it. I'm a self-taught flint knapper. So we have that side taken care of. The end could use a couple. And I'm sweating all over my work right now. It has to be 95 degrees out still. And I'm in a shop. Alright, so now I could beef up the platforms for the other side, so I'm going to do that. You don't have to go too much here. Just enough for all the low spots to have a strong edge. All the deltas that are left don't need to be ground. Alright. So same procedure on this side. Just find all the low spots and take a flake. Some of them will probably go across the piece and take out the other edge if you have the right convexity. You can do this once or twice, maybe 3 times is fine, but more than that I start to get a little angry. So right now I am trying my absolute best to not crush the edge, because this is pretty much my final pass, and I'm trying to take off all the platform without ruining the shape and crushing the edge, which makes it dull, and that's how I get a razor sharp edge. Alright, so we have basically, well, that's fine. Sometimes you'll take out the entire edge where you flake, and you just correct that by fixing all around it and losing a little bit of width. So that's basically gone now. Now we need to flake all of this up in here and make it symmetrical again without crushing the edge like I've been doing. But sometimes you really just can't avoid it. Alright, so this is what we have at this point. So I'm going to bring the edge to center again and take the very last pass. So I'm going to grind both ways, since we just screwed up the flaking pattern by messing up. Alright, so when I get to this point, I really like to use a nail notcher, one that isn't bent. So I'll get rid of that piece, put in a new one. Alright. Ready to roll. So I always start from the tip, and a nail notcher is usually what I use to create the final edge, and sometimes even the final flaking pattern if it's an arrowhead. This isn't quite an arrowhead, it's a bit larger than that. You can take off some pretty nice looking flakes if you don't bend the very tip of this thing. Alright, that's not going to work right now. So, switch back to the copper flaker here. And be very careful not to crush the edge. Even if the flake is really short, don't want to crush the edge. I really hope this is showing up. This flake I'm going to try to get rid of some mass in the center with, so I'm going to have to apply a lot of pressure. And it worked. I really need to stop sweating so much, but it's just so humid. Alright, I need to stop bleeding too.